Hey fam, Gatlin here. Have you ever thought to yourself at the end of the year that, man, I did not do as much of the thing I love in the previous year? For me, that was definitely this year with backpacking. I had one really big trip. I did a lot of hiking around state parks and different things like that. Went out to the Black Hills in western South Dakota and had a couple day backpacking adventure out there. That video is also on my channel if you want to check out what being underprepared in the Black Hills looks like. But all in all, like I said, looked back at 2023 and realized like I did not do as much backpacking as I wanted to do. And ultimately, that's because I didn't have a good plan. I didn't really like say, okay, this is when I'd like to be in this part of the state or the country or whatever that looks like. And I've always heard like if you do the math here, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's exactly what I did. So I want to be on top of that. Today is January 16th, and I'm going to take you guys through a little bit of how I like to plan out most things, which is just with a good old-fashioned calendar. Now, I, for one, like my calendars like I like my sections, Caesarean. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here if I can figure that out. And I'm just, like I said, going to take you guys through and sort of go through my thoughts on how to prep my backpacking for the year. Now we are sitting here in January. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So not a great launching point for probably 4 months out of the year to be backpacking just with weather and things like that. Definitely do want to do a better job next year as far as, backpacking and things like that. So this is an effort to do that. If you want down in the comments, tell me how you plan stuff out. I'm always looking for better ideas and ways to do things. So without further ado, I'm just going to take a quick glance at each month by scrolling through. Now, I do use Notion to manage other parts of my life. So you might see things like work step offsite, work steps, the company I work for, just different reminders that you might see on here. So feel free to make your calendar look a little bit different. I got to get out of the way of this. So maybe we'll put me right up here. So again, I know that at least in South Dakota, where I'm going to do a lot of my backpacking, I'm really not going to have that opportunity until like April. Now, something to keep in mind when you are planning your backpacking adventures is different states and different organizations and different departments are going to have different times where you can go ahead and schedule your, campsites and things like that. So the one I see most commonly is like 90 days. So if I wanted to go backpacking April 16th, I could probably start scheduling and getting those into my system and getting reservations. That's the word I was looking for. Getting those reservations connected around this time. So always think like 90 days in advance because from what I've seen, if you don't get on there and reserve your campsite, they do fill up pretty quick no matter what part of the country you're looking at. So that's probably a good place to start here is if we just look at April 1st. Now, another thing, and I'm not sure if this Notion calendar has it, but I always like to plan backpacking when I know I'm going to have maybe some like time off of work. Now, I do get paid time off through my work, but also, a bunch of the major holidays are also paid. Those are always great, right? If you can, maybe backpack Friday night, Saturday night, get home Sunday, get all your gear put away, and then you still have maybe that Monday off. That's always great too. So I know for sure I want to do my first overnight camping trip. I know the park already. It's going to be end of April because, like I said, I really want to push myself to get out in more of a different time frame than I normally do. So I'm just going to put this in here right now. Like I said, I know it's going to be Newton Hills. It's just about 35 miles southeast of where I live, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to put camping as well. Um, that way I know kind of what the main goal is. It's backpacking and camping because I do look at backpacking. I think you can backpack for 2 hours, right? If you just put a pack on your back and go out and go hiking, I still consider that backpacking. That's my definition. Depending on who you ask, I could be wrong, but I know I want to tell myself in the future, hey, I'm going to be backpacking and camping. So I want to do that this weekend of the 26th, 27th, and 28th. So I'll know, towards the end of January with our 90-day time frame in mind that I want to do some backpacking there. And my main goal is to go camping. Why I'd make the distinction, for example, is maybe this next weekend or 2 weekends from there, I want to go to Union Grove, which is another great state park in southeast South Dakota. So if I go to Union Grove, I might just do like backpacking / hiking. Then that way I know sort of the main point is hiking. And now looking at this, I might want to switch hiking and backpacking just so I know. But there's usually never going to be a time that I go hiking that I don't put something on my back. But just so I know, hey, this is sort of the main goal. That way, when I'm looking at my calendar, I know, okay, here's where I'm going to have to get reservations. Here's where I can just park on some trails and start walking and things like that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, around May and June is where some really prime time here where I live is. So I know the month of June, I definitely want to get over to Minnesota, our neighbor to the east, and do some backpacking there. I might even take some PTO days off here. So I might even preface that too. And then it's Blue Mounds, if I can spell. Blue Mound or Mounds State Park over in Minnesota. I definitely want to check that out. So that would be, again, with our naming there, kind of like that. Now, if you guys are with me so far, I will definitely send you a free sticker of my logo just for watching some goofball look at a calendar for this long. So if you want, claim your ticket or your sticker just by saying sticker, and I will coordinate and get that sent out. I definitely appreciate you guys watching. So now as we go down through June, again, this is a really good time to keep doing stuff. Do want to make sure, I know there's camping out at the Palisades, which the Palisades is a really cool place. I don't think it belongs in Southeast South Dakota. Just the landscape there is insane. So we'd probably want to do some camping out there. I've actually never camped there, so I'd like to do that as well. And then don't be afraid to think about like your major holidays, right? So I think I probably already missed one in May with like Memorial Day. So I'd probably do some camping around there if I'm looking at this again. The first week of July is always a great one. Now your state parks and everything are going to be pretty packed. So definitely keep that like 90-day mark in mind. Because those are going to fill up the fastest. Everybody wants to go camping. Depending on what you want to get out of backpacking, in my experience, those maybe aren't the best weeks because everybody and their mother-in-law is there. You know what I mean? Just it's really packed. So if you're one of those people who really like the solitary aspect of, backpacking, hiking, camping, whatever you choose to call it, that might be one weekend that I suggest shying away from, but that's totally up to you. I just want to let you know that's usually when they're most packed because everybody has vacation. They want to go out and celebrate, which I'm glad they do. It's just sometimes it can be a little packed there. Then as we look in August, I think August of this year is really where I want to do the majority of my backpacking, simply because it's sort of that end of summer. It does get colder. Just for reference, it was -47 with a wind chill this weekend here in Sioux Falls. So I definitely want to treat myself like a little further into the year and really, have a lot of those fun trips towards the end of the year. So that's probably what I'll do here in August. Again, just look at some PTO, if there's any holidays, things like that. And then as we start to get into September, October, I'll probably have to cut it um, around there. October, I might do a couple of our state parks closer to Sioux Falls, just because if it is really crappy, I can always just hop in my car and drive, 30 minutes, an hour back home. So that's always nice to know too. If you're going to test, maybe don't drive 3 hours and do a 6 mile hike in if you're just kind of seeing if backpacking is for you. There's always tons of options, around where you're at. And even in the eastern part of South Dakota, where there's plenty of state parks, but there's not like a ton of differences and things like that. I think all states have their little areas that can really be great for helping you get into it. So definitely suggest you do that. And then one thing I do want to do this year, along the Missouri River, which is a little bit west of where I am, particularly southwest, but there's a lot of good state parks like right there in a row along the river. I'd love to do that. That's probably what my August trip is going to look like, is more like, hey, take this week off or a few days off of work and just kind of through hike, if you will, those areas. So I'm really excited about that. Again, you guys, I really appreciate you staring at a few rectangles with me, but I wanted to make this video because I know that sometimes we want things to be like spur of the moment, but backpacking isn't really one of those things. If you want to get the most out of it, right, you got to get your reservations. You got to understand what the weather is going to look like for that time of year. And you always want to make sure you're just ready beforehand. So like I said, I looked back at the year 2023 and it just wasn't the camping and backpacking year that I knew I wanted. So want to be proactive. And I figured if I'm already doing this, I would share some of my just my mindset with you and take you through this. So again, thank you for watching. If you have any other suggestions on how you prepare for your backpacking trips, or however you prepare your troops when they go backpacking, I'd love to hear it. Again, this is Gatlin. Thank you guys for watching. Get out there, go backpacking. You probably won't regret it. You might get some blisters, but you're going to have fun. You're going to get away from all the modernity of the world, all the electronics. Yeah, they're great. I work in software, but you always want to get out there and enjoy what God has given us. So you guys take care. Let me know how you plan your backpacking trips, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much.